There is no time more exciting for me than when planters start to roll, when we start the process of a new crop year. I love the challenge of getting better each year and putting into action the things that we've learned from the previous year. And for me, it starts right here in the combine, learning what we had from the previous harvest. This is the first opportunity I get to see how I did as a farmer, to grade myself on the past 4 months of caring for and producing this crop. I need good data to make good decisions. I can see the ears going into the head, and I can look back and see the grain coming into the hopper. I know when I'm in a good spot, and I know when I'm in a tough area, but my gut instincts are not good enough to make cropping decisions for next year. I need numbers. You can imagine my excitement when over 15 years ago I installed my first yield monitor. For the first time I had numbers, real data, to go along with my observations. It was exciting to see, and today we store those numbers, create yield maps that show us how we did field by field, pass by pass. This information has become a central piece of evidence in many of the decisions we make on the farm. But the more I harvested and the more I watched the numbers, the more I became frustrated with what I was seeing. For example, why would yields always seem to improve at dusk? Or, it seemed when conditions were good and I pushed the throttle ahead, the numbers would lighten up. Was I really losing that much yield with the faster speed? With fertility maps, as planet maps, prescription maps, and yield management zones, I have the ability to farm by the foot and not by the field. With this information, the yield data I use to make the important decision just doesn't measure up. With the planter technology our engineers have developed, we know where every seed is located. Why can't we have the same level of precision in the yield monitor? So I put that challenge to our team. Tell me the yield in this exact spot in the field with a monitor that's easy to use and doesn't need constant calibration.
This is no small challenge. Yield monitors use the flow rate of the grain in the clean grain elevator to measure yield. From field to field, they can fairly accurately tell how much grain was harvested.
But getting that specific volume tied to a given spot is where the current technology falls short. These systems tend to over-report low flow rate, or yield spots, and under-report the high flow rate, or yield spots. They dilute our yield maps and communicate misleading yield response in specific areas. Even with correct and frequent calibration, the variables of flow, moisture, and kernel properties, like size and shape of the grain, all still impact the accuracy of the yield monitor at any given spot in the field. And the calibration process is rather tedious. We needed to simplify calibration because current monitor systems are too dependent on how well and how often you calibrate the system. Finding a way to more accurately represent the different flow of grain would create more consistent data and eliminate the variables that create the need for tedious calibration. By positioning our flow sensor in a spot that measures grain flow more consistently, variables such as flow rate, moisture, and kernel properties are no longer relevant. We ran side-by-sides with our system and other current yield monitor technology. Look at the difference in the maps and how accurately our new system maps out yield. It's a much better representation of where in your field your yield is coming from.
What's more is you can see this information instantly in the cab on your iPad and take it with you wherever you take your iPad. I'm really excited about what this new harvest monitor gives us in terms of accurate information and high-resolution maps as we're in the combine harvesting. It's an instant grade in how we did this year and a head start in what we need to do to get a better grade next year. It makes a 2020 a powerful multi-season monitor for your operation, combining planning and harvest data in one easy-to-use tool.